Okay, video's back. Well,
And we are live and ready to open this meeting, Chair Foe.
okay. Well, it's a little bit after 6:30. It's 6:34. Good evening, commissioners, city staff, citizens of DuPont, and stakeholders of DuPont. Welcome to the City of DuPont Planning Commission meeting for the 13th of October, 2005. For those attending for the first time and those listening in via YouTube and Zoom, my name is Jeff Foe, and I'm the chair of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is a body of volunteer citizens who serve as advisors to the mayor and the city council. Our delegated authority is to maintain the city's comprehensive plan and land use code consistent with the Washington Growth Management Act. Meetings of the Planning Commission are open public meetings and they're being recorded. There's an opportunity for members of the community to address the Planning Commission. Instructions on how to do so are on the website. Mr. Leday, would you please conduct the roll call?
Commissioner Chase,
Present.
Commissioner Thacker,
Here.
Commissioner Burleson,
I have not received any correspondence from Commissioner Burleson. Hang on just a second. I was just in my email a minute ago, but let me just double check. Yeah, I have nothing from Commissioner Burleson. Director Kincaid, had you received anything?
No, I have not.
Did she mention that she may not be here tonight at the last meeting?
I think perhaps she did. Yes. Yes, I think we can excuse her absence tonight. I believe so.
I would be willing to make a motion to excuse her.
I would be willing to second that motion.
Any discussion reference the motion to excuse Commissioner Burleson? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of excusing Commissioner Burleson from tonight's meeting, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. And the motion carries unanimously. Go ahead, Mr. Leday, please continue.
Vice Chair Scow,
Present.
Chair Foe,
Present.
Commissioner Lynch,
Present.
Commissioner Colvin,
Present.
Commissioner Henry,
Present.
Very good. Thank you, Zach. Do we have anyone in chambers tonight?
You don't have anyone in chambers, but we have someone on Zoom.
Perfect. The person on Zoom, would you care to make a public comment tonight, or are you just observing?
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm just observing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item of business would be approval of tonight's agenda. It would be appropriate for there to be a motion to approve the agenda as published. Is there such a motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for October 13, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion reference tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of approval of the agenda as published for the 13th of October, 2025, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the motion is passed unanimously. Next item of business is approval of the meeting minutes for,
Chair Foe?
yeah, I don't think we got
Right.
meeting minutes for,
Right.
okay.
There are no meeting minutes to approve at this meeting. So our last meeting was a special meeting. It did not get properly noticed. Therefore, we couldn't take minutes. And so tonight we will kind of go over what we talked about 2 weeks ago. The audio is available as well for people to listen to. So yeah, like I said, there was a technical error in not sending, whenever you have, so the regularly scheduled meetings are already, they don't need to have a special notice. But as we get into these scheduling these special meetings, we need to put the notice out, and the notice did not go out. So that's why we did not prepare minutes, because you wouldn't, you basically you didn't have the meeting, even though you had the meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
clear as mud.
Yeah.
Well, that makes it
But again,
easy.
we will recap what we talked about 2 weeks ago to make sure that that's incorporated into tonight's official notes.
Perfect. Thanks, ma'am. And with that, that leads us to the unfinished business. And I'll turn it over back to you, Director Kincaid.
Thank you. So we are working on our comprehensive plan update, our periodic comprehensive plan update. 2 weeks ago, we had the Chapter 3 land use and future land use mapping discussion. We tonight in your packet, in the agenda packet, is Chapter 3, the land use chapter. So we have goals and policies that we discussed and made a few changes. Largely, it was to make sure that we were not that the language we're using in these policies is stronger language. And so there weren't very many changes from the first draft in this draft. I've provided you a clean copy. I didn't know if you had all had a chance to read the link that I sent you, because as we get these, as these planning documents get bigger and bigger, it's going to be harder for some folks to open them, basically, or to email them to you. So that's why you didn't have it emailed. But I do have hard copy in front of you tonight. So we are not making big changes on the land use map. We have direction changes, the future land use map. We have some direction in policy, goal and policy. But the map itself and the land use, as you remember the discussion, it looks different. It looks like there's a lot of changes, but what we have done is sort of created these land use, future land use categories that are broader. They're not matching the zoning per se. The zoning, so where we have currently show the zoning map and the future land use map to be identical with the residential 4, residential 5. We're now calling that in our future land use map low to medium residential density, low to medium residential. In the zoning map, it will say the R4 or R5. The R12 becomes multifamily housing in our FLUM. The zoning map will still show R12. So we've not changed the land use or the zoning. We've just tried to make it so that it was, that we didn't have quite so many confusing categories and sort of compress them in the future land use map. The few areas that we did change, as you recall our discussion, and we've kind of discussed this multiple times, is that where we added a new designation for civic, and that would be land that would be designated for uses and then zoned for those uses that are the water towers, the city-owned property, this where we're at City Hall, schools, for example, things that are used for civic use, public use. And so we created that. And the reason why we did is because we ran into some difficulty where we didn't recognize that that land is already owned by the city, and maybe it's got a water tower on it. And so when we went to build for one example, when we went to build the treatment for the PFAS, the zoning underlying that was not conducive to the use that we needed to place on our property where our waterworks is, to add that. So we were able to do it, but we had to go through some conditional process to do that. And that's not, it just doesn't make sense because it is a water, it's where the city's waterworks are. And so to be able to add and update that is important. So that's just one example, practical example. Our last map, we had some mapping errors or what looked like mapping errors, and those have been corrected. So again, this is chapter 3, the whole land use chapter, and in it, the maps some of those village maps did not print out correctly. So I've given you copies of the colored maps in this packet. We'll make sure that they get inserted into the final land use chapter. I don't know, they printed weird. So do you have any questions or concerns after having spent more time with this chapter that we can discuss tonight?
Commissioner Scow.
Maybe this has been addressed. Maybe it's just all of a sudden just kind of, it's catching my eye now as I'm looking at everything and looking, and I didn't personally see the verbiage about it, but everything that exists now is in DuPont is deemed villages.
Mhm.
And as much to my recollection, we never discussed or was addressed if with the new Old Fort Lake, if we wanted any kind of verbiage to continue on into the Old Fort Lake.
To name it as villages.
I mean,
That-
because even the historic village, El Madrid, I mean, like, so it's not just DuPont Landing or, it's
Right.
not just Quadrant. It's
Right.
the whole city of DuPont. And so I'm not sure if opening a Pandora's box here, but is that something that we would want to put into, I mean, it could be covered in the comp plan, I'm assuming. It doesn't have to be, because this would cover, do we want to continue on with the naming of villages? Is that something that's of importance or?
It's a great question because that is the pattern. And then, like you said, it really,
Well, I mean,
you realize as you're going through this, that
this
all
whole
of these,
chapter is village,
Yeah.
village, village,
it's,
village,
they're
village.
all
village.
named
So
villages.
any new development, would we feel the need to make sure that that continued on with the naming of villages? Or is that just something that, I mean,
Well, I think it's a great question because so first of all, we didn't make any changes. I mean, the villages were named and named in the existing comp plan. We just carried that forward. I did have discussion early on with the folks I'm working with at AHBL about like, what do the villages do? Like, do we need to keep that? We opted to keep it because remember our approach here in this periodic update was to really narrow the focus, the scope of work that we were doing to make sure that we were real focused on compliance with the legislative changes. But so we left it in here. And so now, to your point, the whole Old Fort Lake sub area, because everything in the city is incorporated in a village except for that sub area. And we could certainly, I mean, we could call it the Old Fort Lake Village. I mean, even like the mining property is called for future the Sequalichu Village. So you're right, that discussion did not come up during the Old Fort Lake sub-area plan update that we did. It certainly could be discussed and incorporated now if we wanted to make a name change. Or would we want to, I mean,
I think it would, the thing is that if we put it not so much in Old Fort Lake, but if it
Yep.
should be in the comp plan because this is, this would cover if any of the mining land opened up or if there's anything later on, it's not necessarily, or I mean, if they do end up developing a residential area where the State Farm building.
Yeah.
Is that part of DuPont Station Village or would that be its own village?
Is that on site?
Yeah,
I
Um,
think that's, what we could do is we could add, and I'm not exactly sure where it would fit, but you're right, this is where we could do it. If it was the intent to continue with that naming of the villages as we develop new areas, this would be the place to put it, that we want to do that it's, a policy to continue with new developed or redeveloped areas or something like that. I mean, if that is what you all feel and up there too, sorry. If that's something that we want to do, now is the time to put it in here. You're absolutely right, Commissioner.
I think the one reason I mean, you ask half the people, they don't even really probably know what village they live in. It's not like it's a huge, some do, but there are some that are like, I don't know. But I think one of the biggest supports for it too is we already have the Old Fort Lake designated. It already kind of has this us versus them feel because it's so separate, it's new, it's coming in. I think it would help incorporate it into the fold of DuPont by keeping the continuum of naming villages. That's just so I would support.
I think the only thing that I would wonder about is how would what is the process for determining what a new village would get named? Because I mean, if we say, hey, we want to continue this process or this practice, continue the practice of naming of naming or giving village names to new development areas, which could be kind of the goal that we have, then we'd have to figure out who decides the name and how does that work?
So I think we should continue to have these names. And the reason is more of geographic locations. We have kind of a patchwork done. So Bell Hill is completely separated. The old DuPont is separated. Maybe Palisade and Hoffman Hill, we can talk, possibly a one thing, but still not. It was developed separately. So I think it's easier for the identification purpose. And still, there's a lot of work has been put in. So rather than removing, I think we can continue to add on 2 more if we need to, which I think we already named the baby, in my opinion, because we have Chuckwallace Village here,
That's already
and we
been
have an
named.
Old Fort Lake Village. We can call it as and it also has a historic significance, which we try to preserve with the DuPont.
And on top of that, a lot of the villages are named for prominent landmarks, right? Bell Hill, right? Hoffman Hill, Edmonds Marsh. It's all prominent land features. And so wouldn't Old Fort Lake be a prominent land feature? And that would go along with the same naming convention.
And so would we name the Old Fort Lake sub-area the Old Fort Lake Village? Is that what I'm hearing?
I would think so. I mean, I think Old Fort Lake is a new name that we came up with, but it incorporates the way other names were named. They were either after geographic areas or after what people called the area. And we're now calling Old Fort Lake Old Fort Lake. So that would make sense with the village.
Yeah, don't reinvent the wheel.
What?
I said, don't reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Would we want the whole, I mean, you're looking at the map though, and that's a pretty extensive, I mean, the other villages are really relatively smaller. And I was thinking so maybe it could be added into the historical part of the comp plan? Is there no, I'm thinking the Old Fort Lake. We had the Old Fort Lake, something to do with, it coincides with acknowledging the historical reference is you name the development, because I'm assuming there's going to be 3 or 4 different developments or parties that come in. And that part of the planning is that the development is named a historical reference to the village.
That's in my mind a little bit of a, go ahead. I'm sorry, Chair Foe.
I was just going to say, you know, there is some value in that, but the other thing to consider too is we're beginning to grow short on time. And I think the old Fort Lake, I think it represents that area very well. Trying to draw it up through boundaries, I'm just concerned that that's going to mire us down, bog us down, you know, and so I'm concerned if, you know, if we try to bite a little too much.
Oh, and I wouldn't think that we would actually zone the villages ourselves. I'm just thinking that in my mind, if a developer comes in and does a developed area, because that's essentially what happened on these villages is Hoffman Hill was a development, Palisades was a development, Edmonds Marsh was a development. They all kind of all had their little pockets. And so just writing in, if a development is done, then it's named a historical reference and it's a village.
Does that really need to be in the comprehensive plan, or does that need to be a separate decision by the?
I just think something mentioned in
Oh,
here.
okay, under
As
historic culture,
developments come in,
sure.
to incorporate the historic naming of villages. So we don't even we're not giving specifics. We're not giving
Right.
zones. We're not giving area. We're not doing any of that. All we're doing is we're requesting when you come in and build a development, you're going to name it a village. It will be part of the planning part. So when they submit plans to the city for development, they'll also incorporate a name of the village.
We definitely could add some language in here that would do that. I think yes, I mean, we're talking about these bigger phased projects, like the villages were bigger phased projects, which are going to be a little bit different than like a smaller subdivision, for example. And I'm thinking about the State Farm property. As it redevelops, I think they've already kind of got a name for it. It's really common for developers to name these places.
Mhm.
So I think we could add something that says, to continue the practice of applying, historical names of villages. I think it would be fine. And I think what I hear Commissioner Scow saying is like, we're not going to get down into the nitty gritty. We're just going to say that let's just say a phase out at the old Fort Lake sub area were to come online, we don't want it to be the Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so subdivision, right? We
Yeah.
want it to be a village name that makes sense
Of historical-
historically.
I
Yeah.
think historical or geographical,
That leads
because Hoffman Hill is named after,
Yeah.
because it was Hoffman Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
a nod
Okay.
to our past, and I think that would be pretty flexible there's plenty of things that someone could pull out of the geographic or historical. Yeah. I think that's doable, Chair Foe, without bogging us down. You'll just have to give me a chance to sort of draft something up and insert it into the final draft that you get.
Chairman, can we get back to the work at hand for just a second or two? I have a couple comments. One, looking at the map of Palisades Village,
And so you're gonna find those,
the new one you just,
the new colored
the
ones.
new colored
Yeah.
ones.
And I do apologize, I didn't have time to insert those and pull the bad ones out of your plan.
But once again, we've left the
And you don't-
manufacturing and research park in Edmonds Village, which Unless we're building submarines, I don't think we want.
So we're in Palisade. Oh, you're not gonna have this. You're not gonna have these. Oh, well, you will, but you'll have the bad colored ones. So which might be okay. You're more concerned about the boundaries than.
Oh, no, I'm more concerned that Palisades Village
Yeah. I don't think we'll be able
delineates
to show it.
Edmonds Marsh as manufacturing
Wow.
research park, which I think we talked about last time.
Manufacturing Research Park, Edmund Marsh in
Yeah.
the water. Okay, that needs to be struck.
That
Okay,
needs to
that's,
be struck.
and you could show that because that'll show up on this map. If you go scrolling back, do you know what page it is on this chapter?
Sure, just 1
I
second.
think I can find it too.
24, I think.
Yeah.
Well, no, not 24,
The
that's
page start- Okay,
Edmonds
keep
Marsh.
scrolling back. That's okay. He's almost there. Keep going. Keep going.
It's, page 19.
18 of 39, that's what it says on mine.
The
Which I
big, the big fluorescent green one, that one.
Yeah, do you see how if you zoom in, we have the marsh and we actually put as land use, we put that title there. That just needs to be deleted. And that's an easy mapping fix. I'm gonna cross it out right here. You could probably even zoom in there, Zach, to show. Yeah, keep zooming. Perfect. You see where it says Edmund Marsh and then it says Manufacturing Research Park. That label just needs to disappear. So,
Yep.
yep.
The second one that I have, is on Sequala.
I'm just gonna put another one for the manufacturing research park. It's on the page 18 of 39 for historic village. Also, it shows as a manufacturing.
We, in the
So
wetland.
we just need to make sure that
Yeah.
it's gone from all the maps.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you.
We didn't,
I see it right now here too. Yeah.
Village.
well, this is the one
It's on the historic village.
that's, yeah. The other one, I have problems with is Sequalitu Village.
With the Sequalitu Village map here.
Which is page.
What is the,
It's page number 26.
there you go. So what's the issue with this one?
Is, I believe next to the, all right, if you look at Power Line Road down to Center,
Uh-huh.
there shows, Creekside Apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of Creekside Apartments, which would be part of Sequalitu Village, isn't there a commercial or industrial portion of land there?
So it does show that. Do you see?
It does?
It does on mine.
On this one, it doesn't.
If you look at, okay, yes, it does. So if you look at, boy, I don't know if I can translate this. So if you look at where it says Sequalitu Creek on the dashed
Right.
boundary, and then you keep following that east, and then do you see how that parcel that's just on the boundary there, you see how it has that little, looks like a little road? So this is the parcel that is the industrial parcel, the manufacturing research parcel. It's the light gray. But
So all of this light gray is manufacturing also?
yeah,
Can we label it then?
it's on the legend.
Well, I know, but you've labeled manufacturing park over on the right-hand side. In a,
That's a different, that is the different.
I
that's out-
understand, but this is separate
Yeah,
and this is the same.
so we don't
sep-
really need to name it. I see where you're saying that that's confusing. We'll get rid of that label on there too.
I mean,
We'll-
because it looks like, I
Yeah.
don't know what that area is, even though I'm gonna go up here and
Okay,
I don't
Well-
know if it's industrial or,
We're gonna get rid of anything on these maps that is labeled outside of the village, we'll get rid of, because really the focus is the village
right. then it
and the
needs to
zoning
be-
legend for
it
the
needs-
village.
They need to swap spots then.
Gotcha, yep.
And then if we can start on page 5
Of the document?
of the document.
Okay.
Under low and medium density residential, the first set of boxes.
Okay, so on mine is page 4, but that's okay, because they always print out differently, but it's the very first description, bless you, Zach. Do you
Of
need
the
to
land
next?
use designations.
Yep. Yes, low and medium density residential in the designation and,
Right, okay,
Right.
so this is for everywhere but Old Fort Lake.
yes,
Okay,
yes, and that's why you have, on the next page, the Old Fort Lake
right, but
designate, because they have.
let's go
different-
back to the
Yes,
box.
yes.
Okay, my question is, outside of where I'm concerned is that, not concerned, but want to bring up the fact that if everyone reads the second line down it's to implement single family and middle housing land uses anywhere where it says low and medium density throughout the entire city. So I just want to point out that if you have, and I'm not talking pro or con against middle housing, that's not where I'm going. Where I'm going is, I just want everyone to realize that middle housing would go, I assume, where medium density is anywhere in the city.
Yeah, but
Make sure everyone
it
understands.
also says that, right? Density ranges from 3 to 5 units per acre.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, for bringing that up, because I just want to point out that at Old Fort Lake, instead of 3 to 5 units per acres, it's up to 10 units an acre. So I guess my comment is, do we want to have this the standard in 2 different places at 2 different amounts? That was all I wanted to point out with that. In that page.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's important or not. Just thought I'd let you know that we're having, you can have up to 10 in one spot, but you're only gonna have
I
up to
think-
5.
I think just to give you sort of a little bit of the rationale, is that, in, outside of the Old Fort Lake sub area, you already have these neighborhoods or villages developed. So you already have an existing pattern of land use.
True.
Whereas when we looked at the Old Fort Lake and we created these designations and zones, we were working with a blank canvas. So it's okay that they're different is what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just want to point out that they are different.
They are
in
different.
case folks
I have a
are asked to ask questions. at some
So-
point.
So if, because this is happening in Lakewood now, so people are like mowing down homes and rebuilding. So if that were to happen in the previous villages, would that be under the Old Fort Lake
No,
No.
density?
no,
Okay.
that's why this would be, the density would be under this
Okay.
existing pattern,
I'm not,
the way that it's written now.
Okay, so.
and I wasn't bringing it up to complain. I just
Yeah.
wanted to point it out that
They're different.
indeed there is
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
some major difference, because
Yeah.
one's twice the amount that
Yeah.
another one is.
Yep.
Well, I think the other thing too, we were dealing with is because it was a blank canvas, that the regional and state were more stringent on what we were required to say. So we don't want to change what already existed if they're not making us. And so the old Fort Lake, we were more required to hit the new standards, but we can probably get away with the lower numbers in the existing documents. So I'm good with the two
Yeah,
separate.
It wasn't that I'm good or bad. I just wanted to point out to people that indeed there was a
Yeah.
double standard.
Yeah.
The next thing, when we get to page 6, I'm having a little trouble wrapping my mind around the difference between general commercial and neighborhood business.
Well, I guess I just want to say that I don't think we want to open up the old Fort Lake sub-area
But-
plan right now, and that's all in the sub-area
Okay, well,
plan that we
all right,
just
I'm
finished.
sorry, then I'll stand.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, I was looking at, and I'll just throw this out, was
Yeah.
that general commercial is anything over 20,000 square feet. And neighborhood businesses that I interpret as being small, whatever, can be up to 50,000. So they can actually be larger than commercial, than general commercial.
yeah, I mean, I think that the problem with summarizing this in this document is, and maybe what we, you know, it might make more sense just to keep referring people to the sub-area plan. It's,
I'm not disagreeing with you. It
Yeah.
just looked really funny to me.
Yeah.
'Cause If I
because it's
think,
out of context right here is the problem.
if I think
yeah.
about general commercial, I don't think of something
Yeah, I mean,
between 20 and 50,000.
I honestly would maybe propose that because we tried to like pull this out and summarize it from the sub-area plan, that maybe that was a bad idea. Maybe we can, again, you know, we've maybe strike that, the old Fort Lake designation descriptions entirely and just direct people to the old Fort Lake sub-area plan.
Well,
Because-
I would posit that the general commercial, the way it's written, seems to be solely for commercial land use, whereas neighborhood business, albeit the same, is for neighborhoods, residential areas, not commercial. So
Exactly, but-
therein lies the difference.
But we've thrown in light manufacturing in
But the thing,
neighborhood business.
but the thing is you don't get the whole breadth of the discussion here. You really have to focus on the sub-area plan itself to get the context and to get all of that. And so that's why I'm suggesting that this might not be helpful.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that just the way it was written, it just struck my,
And even when you go then on to the next page, you know, you see where we don't, the old Fort Lake, in the future land use map is just whited out and we direct the reader. Like, I feel like we should be consistent throughout and direct the reader to the plan.
yep.
Do you guys agree with that?
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good.
Yep.
Can you say it again? I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, so I think that, you know, where we talk about the land use designations, the future land use designations. Then we have the next table where we talk about the future land use designations that are specific to the old Fort Lake. I think we just don't put those in here, the same format. We just say, see, you know, old Fort Lake sub-area future land use designation descriptions, see the old Fort Lake sub-area plan for details or for that, you know. And because then when you look at the next page of the future land use map, that's what we've done for the old Fort Lake too. We've just shown the boundaries and we've directed the reader to the plan itself.
I don't
So-
know if I really agree with that, just because I mean, this is a summary of the whole city.
Yeah,
And
That's
the
true.
reality is unless we are attaching that whole Fort Lake sub plan into the comp,
we are.
but I'm like, in this part right here, you know, someone's reading through and they're not gonna, unless they stop and go, oh, now I have to go to this document.
Well, we could incorporate it into here. We were gonna attach it as an appendix, but you know what? It probably makes more sense to put it right in here.
That would be, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
wanna, I don't wanna alleviate from putting
Yeah.
anything because someone can read through this and not even realize
Yeah.
that Old Fort Lake is that different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it needs to be designated somehow that
Well-
they are two different. We've created a different environment at the Old Fort Lake.
I think so. I mean, I think we want to put it, I think we insert the plan in here and not have it be an appendix. So we could have a section then that, you know, the plan itself
Mhm.
just is inserted in here, probably future land use map, and then we talk about the villages. I feel like at the end of the village discussions, that's where we insert the Old Fort Lake plan itself with its map and its land use designations. Does that sound good, you guys?
That, I would,
That sounds fine to me.
Okay.
So I got few suggestions and edits, if I can go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, was Commissioner Chase, are we?
I'll wait, I'm all the way up to page 16, so.
Let me make a note. I want to make sure that I'm making a note here for adding that. I think that makes a lot of sense, and you're right. It helps the reader to flow through and be like, okay, this is it.
So I have a few suggestions on the few pages up to 16. I'll stop. Okay, so on the page 2 of 39 or the chapter 3 land use, that's where we start. So maybe it's a page 1 or page 2, as I downloaded this from the website and
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
gonna
page
be
2.
numbered different.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have a first paragraph, which has almost 3 or 4 long sentences. And I thought there was a better way of writing it and reading it. And if I can suggest, I will just read out loud. It's DuPont's essential land use goal is to preserve and enhance the city's small town postcard character by guiding development that preserve its historic and master plan roots. That pretty much covers everything in those 4 lines.
I am perfectly fine with that. If all of you are, and remember, we're gonna have an editorial group go through this. So maybe if everyone liked what Commissioner Thakur just read to us, that could be given to Commissioner Lynch to rewrite that, because she's gonna be going through the whole document and just
So I
doing the
can
editorial stuff.
I can email everyone once we go home, and then we can decide from there.
Because
I
I
just
don't think
need it
what
as a
you
Word
read changed
document.
What's that?
I
She
wanted
needs it
it-
as a Word.
I want it as a Word document.
Word.
Okay.
And I was saying that what you read did not substantially change the work that we did here at all.
No, it's
So
just like
an editorial.
3,
Yeah,
4 things. Okay.
yeah.
So on this, that's Pepsi. So on the second paragraph, the last sentence, the only one thing I would like to remove is says, it will. So the city is committed to preserving the character residents have come to expect, and it will. Instead of that, we can say, and use the tools available to do so. It sometimes doesn't make sense in a reference point, like what is it means, or we have to say city will use. So either we can remove
Sure.
it will, or we can say city will.
Go ahead, Commissioner Lynch.
I
mean,
agree
that's-
with that. I
yeah.
think that make it as simple as possible. Clear writing. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so now I go to, just going through pages. Okay, so on a civic center, which is page 27, so maybe if you need to go further ahead of me, then I will go to it.
The Civic Center,
It's on a page 27, or it could be page 26.
The Civic Center or the,
Yeah, so.
where it talks about it before the map? Is that where you are? Where, this right
Yeah,
here?
it's a page, again, it's the same thing what I just rewrote for the clarification purpose,
Mhm.
but page 27 of 39, or it could be page 26 of 38. So on the, what it says is a civic center area is central to the city, bisected by Center Drive, and encompasses the site of community early settlement, including the 1843 Fort Nisqually site. It is bounded by the northern edge of Yale Park Village, the western edge of Edmund Marsh, and the southern edge of the Squalish Creek Canyon, and the eastern edge of Old Fort Lake subarea. It just says very specific directions of the civic center.
Mhm.
So I will send that for the changes, like we talked about it.
Right.
Going to the page 29 in Old Fort Lake. Yeah, right there.
Mhm.
On third paragraph after appendix and a little bit further down,
Mm-hmm.
it says a lot of things, including parks, recreation and open space, civic, neighborhood, business, entertainment, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of etc., I think if we can do among others, that would be better
Okay.
to explain.
Okay.
Speaking to etc. It's easier, but reading and writing wise, it would be better if we say among others.
Sounds good.
Okay. Further down to the same paragraph, it says third line from the bottom of the paragraph, within the campus-like setting of natural and man-made landscapes. I think man-made needs a hyphen.
Okay.
Campus
I think
like
Kate-
also needs a hyphen.
I think
Yeah,
that,
I think so.
I think she will be able to pick all of this up. I really do.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Without us having to spend a lot of time doing it here, because, you're not proposing we change anything substantial. It's just the edits for grammar and that sort of thing. And
Okay, so only then I will point out few more things and if it makes sense.
mhm.
Page 32, which is part of manufacturing research park and industrial area.
Mhm.
The last paragraph, there are no housing. Yeah, so industry designation. So I think it requires industrial designation.
There are no housing units existing or proposed within, is that where you are, Commissioner?
Yeah.
Within the manufacturing research park and industrial.
Industrial
Industrial. Mhm.
designation.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we're there, I have a couple of comments. One is we talk about no housing units existing or proposed, yet up above, it says complementing multifamily is also permitted. So
I think
that is being
that's-
proposed, and none exist, the line doesn't make any real sense because they could put multifamily.
I think that last line should be struck because
That's
you're
what I-
right. It's
that's what
not
I'm
helpful.
saying.
Yeah, I would agree with what Commissioner Chase is saying. It is an allowed use in the manufacturing research park.
So really, it could be proposed, it just takes someone.
It's not in the industrial designation, though. So I think that
Well, then we need to change
Yeah.
the whole sentence
Yeah.
in the start of the paragraph.
Yep,
You can't lump both industrial and manufacturing.
lump them together. In
Lump
the
them
old,
all together, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to make it separate. Speaking of that, on the very first line, we talk about supporting future commercial service at the corner of Center and DuPont Stillicum Road. Isn't that corner pretty well built out?
say that again, I'm sorry. Where are you
The
at?
corner of Center and DuPont Stillicum,
Yeah,
that
Both
corner is
corners.
already built out.
both corners are built out.
That's right. There isn't going to be any further commercial services
Well,
or
unless
future
it,
ones.
unless it redevelops. Where are you reading? Let's see.
The
what
very
that
first
reads.
line,
The area between
the
Sequology Village-
manufacturing research park and industrial area also supports future commercial service. Well, I don't know how it's going to support future commercial
The
service.
manufacturing research park and industrial area also supports future commercial service at the corner of Center Drive and DuPont Stillicum Road two. Oh,
I
you know
don't know
what
how
they're-
you're going to support future.
do you know what what the author of this particular section was getting at is the, where the community business it was the community business, not on the Amazon warehouse side, but across
Right.
there where you've got those tilt ups.
Those are warehouse, those are storage units or warehouse.
They're
They're being
also,
used for something different, but
yes, and they do supply commercial, some commercial use, you've got the gym there, you had the fob there.
right,
you
no, I
had-
understand that.
So what is it about this that's troubling you?
Future, so we're supporting future commercial services or the existing commercial service?
We just get rid of the word future.
That's what I
Also
would do.
supports. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I see where
That's
you're
what I'm saying.
tripping
There's
up.
that whole vacant land that the school still owns that hasn't been decided.
That's
on.
not in this,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay.
right there. It's
in
like
the
a,
corner.
like, no,
I think
this-
it kind of moves its way in, but yeah, I mean, I think supports, we just get rid of future though. I
Yeah,
mean,
I would get,
well, it says the area between Sequalitu Village.
no, go to page 32.
Also
So
supports.
this is
future
the
com-
manufacturing research park and industrial area also support, so they're lumping them together again.
Provide
At this corner
This is talking only about the corner of
of
Center
Center Drive
Drive
and
and
DuPont Stillicum
DuPont
Road.
Pelican Road.
So instead of just saying at the corner, you can just replace with near the corner,
Yeah,
Okay, whatever, I'm just saying that,
No, I mean, yes, you're right. I mean, if you're giving a pinpoint location, absolutely, that corner is built out. But if you expand that and get rid of that pinpoint, at the, and then put near, well, Manchester Place is now near.
yeah,
corner.
because, yeah, because I
only-
mean, it's like a block away from the corner as
Yeah.
opposed to, now, if you were talking about the land over by the DuPont Garden, then I would see that being that's a huge issue, because that's like,
Yeah.
that's like 2 miles away, but the undeveloped commercial land is literally a block away.
then why don't we say at Manchester Place, which is where the corner
Why
really
do we
is.
have to locate it at all? Why can't we just say generally manufacturing research park and industrial area can support
Right, okay,
wherever it is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would probably be better than
okay,
pinpointing.
okay. I'm gonna strike that. They can support commercial service to provide retail. Yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of at the corner of. Okay.
Can we go back to page 14
Sure.
of the document, which is page 15 of 39?
And what are we looking for?
And we're looking at the second line where it says to the south by open space owned by the Nisqually tribe outside of the center limits and west by rural. Why
Are
don't
we in a
get
village? I'm sorry, are we in a village description?
El Rancho, yeah, El
Okay.
Rancho Madrona
Okay,
Village.
so village description for El Rancho Madrona. That. And the village was originally, the is 2 villages. Let's see, where are you reading? Oh, Nisqually, okay. It's bounded to the east and north by Hoffman Hill, to the south. Okay,
It's actually, if correctly, it would say something along the lines of to the west and to the south. It's unincorporated Pierce County.
oh, yes, it would, wouldn't it?
And just leave it at that, and not, because the Nisqually between DuPont and the open space owned by the Nisqually, there's also
Got it.
private residencies.
That's much more accurate. Yes, I agree. Okay.
Just, yeah. If we go to the next page, 15,
Uh-huh.
just a quick question. What's the difference between Sequalichu Creek Ravine and Sequalichu Creek Canyon?
I think we should just be calling it ravine.
Well, I guess where I'm
Yeah.
going is.
I don't know.
Either it should all be,
Yeah,
or is this the same proper or same
no,
geographic area, or is it
it
different?
it is. I mean, and
There's another spot, and I'll find it for you, in the document earlier that we mentioned is the canyon.
okay, well, we need to do a search, and replace any word that says canyon with ravine. Commissioner Lynch.
And then
I just looked up
Is-
Sequalichu Creek Canyon, and we might think about not calling it a ravine because it really is not a ravine. And because there are several places, including Wikipedia, that call it the canyon.
So
So
change rid of ravine and make it all canyon.
make it
Yes.
canyon, because and that's what I mean. That's what has
Really
It's been called.
impressive sounding too.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynch.
Okay,
The last one I have is on the same page. And it's just the 7 to 10 acre community urban design feature. If you read down the next to last paragraph, in addition to trails that will connect this village with other neighborhoods, a 7 to 10 acre community urban design feature. What is that?
I don't know. I think that's a remnant probably from the adopted plan. Remember,
Feels like-
they went, predates my tenure here, but I think that there were some planning things that happened for this Sequalichu Village that actually we're gonna need to revisit it all when the time comes. So,
Because on here, on our map, it shows Parks and Recreation, which I can believe. It's just, it sounds like a very fancy name for something that I don't know is going to be fancy.
I remember when I was building my house here that Quadrant talked about Sequalichu Sequalichu Village as the property where the gravel mine is currently. And they
Yeah.
predicted it was going to close in 2012. Well, we know that didn't happen. So that's, I'm sure, where that language came from, that's all going to go away and we're going to be able to build houses in there. And that, of course, has not happened. So we need to figure out a way to rewrite that so that it's more realistic. What?
I agree with you, Commissioner Lynch. I think that this is a relic that needs to go away. And I think that because no planning work has actually been done, I feel like maybe we just say this, the first paragraph, leave the first paragraph that it's intended for the mixture of residential types. But all the details below that first paragraph, I think, should go away.
Yeah, they don't exist.
They don't exist.
No,
Right, and because
Yeah.
that part I was gonna bring up in the vicinity of
Yeah.
the Methodist mission.
Yeah.
I believe there's already something designed to be there, and I don't think it's a urban design, a community urban design feature of 7 to 12 acres, 10 acres.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we can leave I think we get rid of the 2 paragraphs, public access, and in addition to, and I think the reasonable measures in chapter 2, I'm gonna have to go back and check to see if we still have that, because that reasonable measure was written in there when the 2015 comp plan was done. The city was not able to meet its target. And so the reasonable measure it wrote in was, we can't now, but we can in the future. And that's why the designation of the Sequalichu Village was the rural residential reserve. But I don't think that language is even needed in here anymore. So let me do my research, because I think it goes away. I don't think we don't need to incorporate a reasonable measure, because that we are meeting our targets.
right.
So let me take a look at that. Good stuff, you guys. Can we move on to the next agenda item then? Or are we still on chapter 3?
I have a few quick corrections if we can go through it. Page 35 of 39. And under general goals,
Okay, goals, good.
yeah,
We got to the goals, okay.
2.4, where it says standalone warehousing, I think it should be warehouses.
No, yeah, yep. Okay,
Okay, and 2. Is in a same one. If we go further down, it says in order to ensure the small town aesthetic,
mhm.
or I think we are talking about preserving the small town aesthetic. So instead of ensure, if we can say preserve.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too.
Yeah, so warehouses and preserve.
Okay.
Let's see. Going to page 37, mineral resource lands.
Mm-hmm.
The goal 6, it says recognize the value of mineral resource extraction while protecting the integrity of natural environment. And that I would like to add long-term. So protecting the long-term integrity of the natural environment, because we are talking about future protection. Okay.
I'm just gonna make notes to do this, unless, if I don't hear any discussion, then I'm just assuming that you all agree, and I hope that's the right assumption. Okay.
Okay, I'll go to the page 38. Goal 7. It says promote equity and community health in land use decisions and development patterns. I would like to add one word, promote equity and community health in all land use decisions.
In all,
Yeah, in
Mm.
all. And 7.2, prioritize services and access to opportunity. If we can say prioritize investments in services and access to opportunities. So how are we prioritizing services?
investment in
Yes,
services, okay,
add investment.
yeah.
So somewhere city put the investments into it, like
I mean,
time,
that
money, anything.
makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay. Page 38, community and culture.
Mhm.
I would like to see okay, so the 9.1, it says ensure private and public development projects include areas for community gathering. So instead of using include, can we say incorporate? Because we are city.
Sure.
Okay, and 9.2, implement design standards and responsibility, or implement design standards and responsible zoning for the development. Instead of that, I should say zoning to ensure the development of quality. So responsible zoning to ensure the
Mhm.
development of quality attractive.
Mhm.
And I think this is the last one, and I'm done. 9.3.
Okay.
It says work jointly with the other jurisdictions, agencies. I think we should call it as a collaborative work. So say collaborate with other jurisdictions, agencies, organizations.
The word collaborate instead of work jointly.
Yeah,
Yep, that makes sense.
because we are collaborating, we don't know whether
Yeah.
they will work with us or not.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
If I could make one interjection, one of the words that we were trying to get rid of is ensure, because ensure is pretty weak. But we could replace it with promote.
And is that that's back on 9.2 to promote implement design standards and responsible zoning to promote quality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
And then also in 9.1, that sentence starts out with ensure.
I thought we got rid of all those pesky insurers. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll find something to replace that with. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll, let me go through again on this one and get rid of all those insurers. Maybe that was on a different chapter, but I thought we did it on this one. Hmm.
How do you ensure that?
I am done.
Because I'm going to require it. Okay,
And then, I'm sorry, just while we're on a roll here. 9.2, for attractive architectural structures, what does attractive mean? Like,
yeah, good
is
point.
it similar or? Right,
Yeah,
is that
Um,
meaning like a similar architect structure? For the whole.
well,
thing?
I think attractive is really subjective. I think. What are we talking about here? We're talking about quality, we're talking about aesthetic, the aesthetic. And so maybe,
Pleasing aesthetic.
pleasingly, something like that.
Yeah, pleasing aesthetic.
Yeah,
Instead of attract.
yeah.
I mean,
That
yeah,
means
I mean,
something.
but then we're going down the path and that's still
Yeah.
subjective.
Yeah.
Maybe just quality architectural.
But
Aesthetic
to
actually
complement-
has that, you can define aesthetics.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've tried to make a point of is to ensure all architectural structures maintain the same basic look throughout the city, you know? And so if that could be worded something along those lines, instead of attractive, instead of pleasing, but to make sure that it remains consistent with the aesthetics.
with the existing aesthetics.
And maybe follows the HOA guidelines.
Uh-oh, it's getting late and I almost blurted something out that I should, yes, let's keep moving.
Yep.
Okay. We ready to move on to the next chapter? Okay. So these are great, good conversation, and thank you once again. You guys are hard workers. So you have in front of you chapter 7, the Parks, Trails, and Recreation chapter. Now, there's not much here because basically what we do is we, the city already has a process to create a parks plan. So the Parks, Trails, Open Space, Recreational Plan was adopted. And so basically what this chapter does is it incorporates that work, that body of work into this plan. Much like your water comp plan gets incorporated into this plan. It's sort of this where we talk about these, you know, this comprehensive plan is a higher level, and the other plans that get incorporated are more of the functional level plans. So you see that that we talk about the PROS plan is hereby incorporated as appendix. It talks about the context of the comprehensive plan. The element shows how parks, trails. Oh, does that say trials? That says trials, doesn't it? Trails. Okay. And recreation relate to planning, budgeting, and growth in the city. And then we talk about our newly adopted PROST plan that really establishes the direction and the actions and how it's incorporated. Then we go into the next section of this chapter that explains, well, then why do we need this chapter in the comp plan? And the reason why is the purpose in relationship to the Growth Management Act. So the Growth Management Act actually requires cities and counties that are fully planning under the GMA to have parks, trails, and recreation chapters in their comprehensive plans. And it specifically it talks about how this element needs to implement and be consistent with the capital facilities element and in, you know, in relationship to parks and recreation. And then it goes on to tell us like this element, this requirement, GMA requirement, has to include an estimate of park and recreation demand for the 10-year period at least, B, an evaluation of facilities and service needs, C, an evaluation of tree canopy coverage within the urban growth area, and D, an evaluation of intergovernmental coordination and opportunities to provide regional approaches for meeting park and recreation demand. Those are lifted right out of the statute itself. So that's why we have to discuss this in the comp plan, and we can't just say we're good to go. We adopted our PROST plan. So if you go to the next page, then we say, then our next statement here is like, okay, so we're complying. This element meets those requirements. And then we talk about how it meets those requirements. That the PROST plan as appendix it includes an evaluation of the facilities, the service needs, and the demand, which it does. And the PROST plan and the capital facilities and utilities chapter of this plan include the capital projects. So the PROST plan in the chapter in that analysis of existing and future demand and gaps lists the projects, lists what projects with estimated budgets for the required time frame. And what you will see is that the one chapter, the last chapter that you haven't seen that you're going to see at the next meeting is the capital facilities and utilities chapter. Will be incorporating in the capital facility project, those project lists for parks. So then it complies and is consistent with our capital facilities plan. So it complies because it's going to be there. The list of capital projects. Now, the one thing that we didn't have here is tree canopy coverage is not in the parks plan, and intergovernmental coordination to provide regional approaches. They're addressed right here. So the next text that you see here is addressing that for compliance with the GMA. So you see that the paragraph where Washington State Department of Natural Resources estimates that we have a tree canopy at 29%, which represents an overall average, takes into account the city's open space areas that are heavily treed and protected with the trees that have been developed for residential and commercial uses. The city has long recognized that stewardship and sustainable management practices are vital to continuing community health and resiliency as the impacts of climate change and population growth strain the environment. DuPont is a tree city with an active tree commission that works to protect and care for its tree canopy through education and outreach as it promotes tree protection policies and regulations. So that paragraph now complies. We've said like, yep, we know how much tree canopy we have, and here's how we are complying as far as being tree city and having a tree commission that works on this specific topic. And then we talk about in the next paragraph how we're committed to providing these accessible, safe, well-maintained facilities and services. This is just kind of lifted out of the parks plan itself. That we endeavor to provide a system of parks, trails, and recreational opportunities that are within easy reach of every resident, satisfying their various recreational needs, and that we achieve it through the adopted level of service standards, which are in the PROST plan. We focus on our gaps. We work strategically to meet that future need and growth over the next 20 years. We talk about in the next paragraph on that page of 7.2 that the city's network of open space and green corridors, trails, they need to have connectivity with the broader regional network, optimizing system-wide recreational, social, and environmental functionality. And then the last paragraph on 7.3 goes into our coordination collaboration piece of this. So strategies will include planning and budgeting for new parks, trails, and recreational facilities by maintaining and upgrading existing facilities. This plan requires that new development pays its proportionate share to serve growth and demand. The city will also continue to collaborate with regional partners as it maintains ongoing dialogue with legislators regarding system-wide capital improvements and funding sources. These partners include, but are not limited to, the Washington State Department of Natural Resources, the Washington Recreation Office. I should have spelled out the DNR and then put, okay, anyway, Pierce County, Lakewood, Lacey, Town of Steilacoom, in the Joint Base Lewis McChord. Those are our nearest partners to collaborate with. And so we've at least given a nod to, yes, we have this. So then anything to talk about there before we go into the goals of this? Because what the PROST plan doesn't do, because it's a functional plan, it has strategies and implementation and all that, but it doesn't specifically have goals. So what I did is I read through that and I lifted out the intent of those to draft these goals and policies that you have in front of you in the comp plan.
Just a procedural question. And I like what's done, and I thank you for giving us an overview. Seeing this wasn't on the agenda?
It was.
It was?
Yeah.
Where was it?
Isn't it on the agenda?
No.
Yes, it is.
Where?
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. It's an and. All right. Thank you. I just was looking at the compromise, the land use, I've missed good, let's go ahead then.
Okay.
I just didn't want us to get,
No,
Wavered.
I've already had one fumble. No, we don't need another, but yes, okay. We ready to move on then to the goals and policies?
I do concur with you that in the rewriting to spell out DNR.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that needs to be.
Oh, and they also
So-
don't need initials for offices unless we're going to talk about them numerous times throughout the document. So.
Okay.
that.
You'll clean that up for me, won't you?
I will.
Thank you. Okay, so goal one, again, this is really what I gathered, from the park plan itself, is that every resident should have convenient access to some type of public, well-developed park. The two policies that reside under that is ADA accessibility should be planned and considered for future development and updates in current parks. Policy 1.2, playgrounds should be located within convenient walking distance of every resident. Should I move on? Goal 2.
just a quick question on that one. What would be the difference between should be planned or considered for future development?
We could get rid of
Consider-
the and considered.
Uh,
We could just say should be planned for,
It should be planned.
should be planned for.
But I'm not
Yeah.
sure it should be considered.
Okay, let's get rid of the and considered. Should be planned for.
It's mandated, I believe, but with the if you're ADA compliant, you have to be ADA compliant,
Yeah.
therefore
I
it
just-
shouldn't just be considered.
I agree. So we'll strike the and considered.
I think 1.2 needs a little bit of work. 1.2 does.
Okay.
It says playground should be located within convenient walking distance of every resident. How many people are gonna walk from Hoffman Hill to the playground at Bell Hill? You know,
So it's a
That's-
locational thing that they should have one that they can walk to.
right, so.
Yeah.
I think it should be more, playground should be located within convenient walking distance of residents and get rid of the every.
I think what you do is you don't make playgrounds plural, you say a playground.
Ground. That's
Shall
what I was gonna
be-
say, yeah.
A
That
playground,
works too.
a playground should be located within convenient walking distance of every resident?
No, I
works.
think should say, a playground should be located within the convenient walking close proximity of majority of residents.
Yeah, because one, I mean,
Close
again,
proximity.
if we say every.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
every,
And
Okay,
then,
get rid of
you know,
majority.
Commissioner Thacker's definition of convenient might be vastly different than mine. You know,
Or-
so.
Someone
um,
needing ADA,
if we can get rid of some of these ambiguous words and, you know, close proximity would be a good way of doing it. And then getting rid of the word every resident and just turn it into residents.
Well, what's close proximity then?
The same as
Yeah.
convenient?
Yeah, so,
I'd leave that out.
yeah, exactly. I think the sentence isn't too far off. So a playground should be
playground.
located within convenient
Yep.
walking distance of residents.
Yep, that works.
Okay.
What about within convenient walking distance for residents?
What's the difference?
I'm okay with either way. They seem the same to me. Okay. Are we good to move on to goal 2? So goal 2 says we're going to expand indoor and covered recreational space to allow for all weather activities. And so policies resting under those, P21, regularly seek public input on types of indoor recreational activities desired by the community. 2.2, collaborate with the Silicon Historic School District to share indoor recreation spaces where appropriate. policy 2.3, seek grants and allocate we gotta spell the REIT, funds to fund all weather recreational activities and allocate. So I need to spell out what REIT is. To fund all weather recreational activities. Thoughts on goal 2 and its policies?
Is, I'm concerned about the word allocate REIT funds. Does that mean that REIT funds solely must be allocated for this? Or,
There's some discretion on how to use those funds,
right, no,
which is why I'm saying we need to allocate some for parks. Because we don't have any funding,
right.
really, yeah.
I was going to say, consider REIT funds or consider REIT funding
Well,
versus
What?
versus,
Alex is much stronger.
Do we need to identify where the money comes from? I mean, seek grants and allocate funds for all weather recreational activities.
We could say that and allocate
Yep.
funds. Okay, I think I'm good with that. And we don't need to say where the funds are coming from. I mean, obviously, they're gonna be coming from some city revenue source.
well, it may be something other than a grant.
Well, yeah, because we're not gonna allocate anything other than our own, right?
Right, but I'm
Right.
just saying you may go after some
It could
other
be-
funds that are not a grant.
Yeah,
Yeah, a corporate donation.
Yeah, which,
but that's not gonna be an allocation. So seek grants and other funding opportunities and allocate city funds? Is that where we'd want to expand what we're seeking? Seek grants and funding. I mean, what we're trying to say is like, let's not just say grants or other funding sources. But I think we also want to, from the park plan and from all that discussion, we also want to start getting serious about allocating some of the city budgeting city funds for parks, because we do not do that right now.
I'm a huge fan of the word allocate.
Mhm.
We don't necessarily need to state where where the funds are being allocated from.
Mhm.
But I think we do need verbiage in here that we're going to seek grants and the city itself is going to allocate funds specific to this.
Me too. And I think that Commissioner Chase was saying, shouldn't we say seek grants and other funding opportunities, right? Not limiting us to
yeah,
grants.
I would just not eliminate, there's grants and there's another type of funding that's out there that's not a grant. And I would love to see it. A matching fund is not necessarily a grant.
You just want.
What if we, instead of trying to cram it all into, why don't we allocate funds as its own?
As its own, because otherwise it's just too much.
2.3 and
Yeah.
then 2.4,
Okay,
seek grants and other seek grants, and then you can list a couple examples, seek grants, corporate sponsorships, and other
yep,
opportunities to help fund the parks.
I think she.
Could you simplify it a little more and just say seek funding for all weather recreational activities? And not be specific about grants, REIT funding, or I don't know what REIT is, but if we just say you're seeking funding.
Well, I think what we're trying to say is two things. We're trying to seek funding. At the same time, we're also wanting to make sure that we're allocating some of our own, out of our own budget.
What is REIT?
Real estate excise tax.
Okay, got it. All right.
So how about this? If we can separate these two goals separately, like put 2.3 seeking grants and funds, and put 2.4 as allocate REIT to fund all with as a part
I
of
think that's a good.
2.3 and 2.4.
I think that's a good way of doing it, if you all do, because that we are saying, go after whatever you can get for, And maybe even low interest loans could be an opportunity if it exists,
Right.
but for sure, then that piece of like, let's make sure that we're looking at our own budget to see what we can.
Yeah, we budget
Yeah,
for- and we ask for
Yeah.
assistance. I
I-
think
I-
it needs to be separate.
I agree, but I don't think we should specify exactly where. Because now we're tying our hands, you know,
Yeah.
we're gonna use REIT, but now we can't use, you know, some other, revenue source.
Yeah.
Because we've, you know, tied our
The
hands. to
general
just
fund could
REIT.
not add any,
So, you know,
only REIT.
we could say, you know,
Yeah.
allocate, funding from appropriate revenue streams or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's good. I think what I'm hearing you say, and I think that you're definitely on the right track, is to separate 2.3, create a 2.3 and a 2.4. One is, you know, the grant and other funding sources, and the 2.4 is specific to what we put into the pot from our own, allocation.
Right, you
But not
have
be
the city,
specific,
you have
yeah.
the city and you have outside
Yeah.
the city sources.
Yep.
I do agree, though, that we need to make 2.3 the allocating, make
Okay.
it the higher priority than looking out for funds. So our first priority should be allocating the funds, and then let's look outside 2.4 to supplement that.
Good idea.
So I
Yep.
agree with, yeah.
So goal 3 says enhance and improve trails, access, and connectivity. There's just one policy under there, improve trail amenities to include restrooms, shelters, and potable water. Any thoughts about that?
Well, the goal says to enhance and improve connectivity, but it's not included in the policy.
Yeah.
So, Commissioner Foe, or Chairman Foe, that it also doesn't say anything about trail access.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about access or connectivity.
It just basically says amenities is what you're talking about.
So we need to have a policy about access and maybe one about connectivity.
I think also, we should put some limitations on this, especially with the, trail amenities. Because when you start putting in
Yeah.
sewage lines, water lines, now it becomes maintenance intensive.
Yeah, I think-
On top of that, now you're gonna have some environmental impacts with that. You know, so some thought has to go into what amenities are going where and how.
Mm-hmm.
Because we could be, as Vice Chair Scow eloquently put it, we may be opening a Pandora's box when we start, you know, trying to run sewage lines and water lines and electrical lines, you know, through some of these trails.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, especially when you start talking about putting trails around water features that are currently existing. If you say, we're gonna put a shelter or put a restroom every X number of distance away, we may really end up with some problem. The other one is putting that water line in. Are you gonna be able to conveniently go off an existing, stub off an existing line? Or are you going to have to put a whole new water line in to do that?
So
properly?
I do think that the amenities is a type of access, okay? I think that it was intended to be like, if you're going to improve access for people, then if you're increasing access if there's a porta potty somewhere along the trail, or if they can fill up their water bottle or something like that. So I could see where P31 does feed into access, just not the way we're thinking of it. But I also hear you in terms of, you know, these improvements, it has to be where feasible or something to add, like where feasible or where, kind of where it makes sense
Yeah.
language.
Well, and like the word restroom, when you tell me restroom, I'm thinking like, Clock Tower Park, where you got electricity, you got heat, you got running water, right? And you got a flushing toilet. That's a restroom. A porta potty is not a restroom,
Yeah.
so I think that needs also to be delineated. Also, if we're going to throw porta potties out there, right, how are they getting pumped? What kind of access is that pump truck going to have to pump out? And how often is that going to happen? And how is that going to impact the environment around? So, I mean, there's a lot of considerations that's going to be going into this.
And that's probably where feasible needs to be added.
So I think I have a question on it. So what are we trying to say in the goal? Is enhance and improve trails access? What is the goal, and what is the goal of connectivity? And the access and connectivity really does not say that if we have a restroom, then there's an access to the trail. I think I'm just confused with what exactly the goal says.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this goal? Are we defeating the purpose by putting the 3.1, or I'm not sure?
Well, I think, we think of, it's the word access that's tripping us up, because I think, and having the access on the same line with connectivity, right? Because we're thinking of access as being a form of connection to a geographic feature, like connectivity is very clear. Are we connected? Are we not? But access is a little bit fuzzier. And to put it on that line, access can be, the ability to go on a trail. Let's just say if you know that you're gonna need to be able to sit down, or you're gonna need to have a shelter to sit and rest if the weather, I mean, those are things that expand people's use. And so expanding people's use by these amenities expands their access. And so, but they're kind of stuck together, and so that's where it gets confusing.
Right, I was going to say, and
Yeah.
then I'm going to present
Yeah.
if you wanted access to the Bluff Trail, having an access at Wilkes Observatory and having an access at Hoffman Hill isn't really expanding or enhancing access. You're still going to have to walk 2 miles or a mile or whatever it is. Versus I can see where some of us are thinking, oh, is there some alternate places I can get on a trail or get off a trail? That makes access also.
Mhm.
I also think the access means, like, say, Chiqualis Trail, when you start, and like you gave an example of old, what do you call the Buff Trail? So that trail, when you enter it, start walking, and if it's a heavy rain has gone through, it's pretty difficult to go in because it becomes really muddy. So maybe having some gravels put in, just like Chiqualis Trail in the beginning, then rest of the trail is pretty easy to walk through. So that's what the access means to me, that it's available access to us during all year round to the trails.
Well, let me think about goal 3 and policies underneath and spend some time with it.
If
I
I
have
can add,
one quick comment.
Mhm.
The access to me means knowing where the trail is, so appropriate signage, and then knowing where the trail goes, maybe a map.
Okay.
that's
And then-
kind of what I was going to say.
Was that, okay, so I think this one just needs a lot of work. So if we just could resign that, yep, this needs a lot of work, and move on to 4, would that be okay? Okay. So goal 4, maintain an updated financially viable plan for meeting park and recreational needs. This one has a lot of policies under it, because this is getting to the heart of We need to maintain the plan, we need to keep it updated, it needs to be viable, financially viable, and it needs to meet our needs. So policy 4.1 is to update the Parks Capital Improvement Plan, the CIP, biannually as part of the final budget process. And 4.2, review annual budget against recreation levels of service standards to determine if investment corresponds with population growth. 4.3,
What does, can I stop? What
Yeah,
is that?
yeah.
What does that one actually mean?
I think we could get rid of that one because honestly, I think 4.1 encompasses it, don't you?
Well, it was just the way it was written. You
Yeah,
know.
I think that 4.1 encompasses it. I would suggest that we just strike 4.2. Because that would be incorporated. You'd be looking at your level of service and your need, how much. So 4.3, update facility rental or use fees on periodic basis to reflect market rates. 4.4, establish a park impact fee and fee in lieu program to increase the annual program budget and to ensure that new development contributes to the increased park system infrastructure needs. 4.5, through the city's ERR fund, equipment replacement and resources, the city should continue to allocate funds for playground equipment replacement. This is kind of a duplicate of the one we were talking about earlier. Go ahead, Commissioner Thacker.
Yeah, so 4.3, update facility rental or use fees. I don't know if we have any facility which is a use fees, and we don't want to have a use fees to access the parks and the trails.
I
So
was
I
thinking-
don't know where we are coming up with the use fees word.
We have rental fees, but we
There are
don't
rental
have,
fees to use parks. If
Some of
I
the-
want Sellers, if I want to use Sellers Park or I want to use any of the parks, I can rent the park.
we have rental, but not use fees. Those are different. We can
Yeah,
strike,
the-
let's strike use fees.
Okay, facility rental, I can understand, but not the use fee
Yeah,
to access open parks.
yeah, we don't have use fees, although we've talked about having a use fee to park here to use the trailhead because a lot of people that don't live here use the trail and they park here and having a use fee where you don't require, but you have a little thing and people can put in money contributes to the wear and tear that is happening on the trail. So I think that's where that was thought of, but we could just strike use fees. Because you don't,
So maybe I can understand what you're saying. So just relating with, say, Stillicum, when you go to Sunnyside, there's a parking
Yeah.
fees. But then we just cannot openly say there's a use fee because for the residents, it's free.
yeah,
So now we have to come up with another system of having a pass and all those things, saying that, okay, 10,000 people gets the pass to come to this trail. And the people who are not among those 10,000 has to pay. So I think it's going to be difficult to say there is a use fee.
yeah, I think we strike the use fee and honestly, I don't know that there'd be a lot of political support. It hasn't been discussed enough to even think about charging a parking fee or anything. So I think let's just strike the use fee and 4.3, update facility rental fees on a periodic basis. Yeah. But-
Well, and then what's establish a park impact fee?
Yeah,
That,
that's new development. So park impact fees and fee in lieu programs, those are what new development contributes to whatever additional demand that the new development puts on the facility.
oh, okay, so that's a fee on the developer, not the citizen. Okay.
I do think 4 or 5 is redundant. And I kind of, It's a little bit different because it's a specific ER&R fund, but I still think that one should, I feel like that's too specific. I feel like we get rid of 4 or 5 because we created that policy in 2 about allocating funds. And I feel like that leaves some it says we need to do it, but it leaves some flexibility about how that allocation looks to the finance.
I would
Team.
agree, I would agree with you. The other part of that is my understanding is that departments put money into the ER&R fund based on the
Yeah.
life expectancy of whatever it is.
And we don't have a department,
And
yeah.
I don't think you want to put that in because you're gonna then take money out of your budget to put it in the ER&R. I mean, if
Right.
that's where you're gonna get the money from.
That's exactly right. So I think we strike 4, 5. And then we have 4, 6, pursue new sources of revenue for operations as well as capital projects. These options include, but are not limited to sponsor. Okay, that's where we were getting on that other one. So again, that's redundant.
I think I do have a different opinion on 4, 5. I think we
Okay.
should just keep it the way it is. I think it doesn't hurt having there. It might, I mean, we've been doing it, it will happen
We have-
anyway.
We haven't been doing
I-
it. Yeah.
But I think if we say that the city should continue to allocate funds for playground equipment replacement, and if we strike that out, it might not be looking very good on every aspect of it. So we can just keep it the way it is. I don't know where it came from and why it's there and how it was inserted with someone thinking about it. So maybe we should clarify how 4, 5 came in before we just decide to delete it.
These are all, these are things that I was thinking about in the plan and writing, and now that I'm reading them all together and thinking about them again, it came from me.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay,
So I
yeah.
was
that
just trying to
makes-
think, I don't
yeah,
know, where is it?
mm-mm.
So what was the thinking behind it? And-
Well, the thinking was we've had discussions at leadership about ER&R and, we've done a lot of budgeting discussions, but Commissioner Chase is correct. I mean, this has all been around the bubble of like, well, we've got to figure out how we're going to start funding parks. And so there's talk about ER&R funds. There's been talk about, using REIT money. And I think my brain was just kind of bouncing all these ideas and putting them on the paper. But I don't think the ER&R fund is the correct place for it. But I just think that the keeping it straightforward in terms of just saying we need to start allocating funds, whatever that looks like, and let the internal leadership decide
Is,
how to do that.
isn't really playground equipment replacement a capital issue and should be, it was covered in your capital in
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
as I said,
Yeah.
ER&R, you're now spending $10,000 to put in the ER&R every year. And in 10 years, you get 100,000 for your project.
It is a
Well,
capital, yeah. We've got the maintenance and operation piece of it, but you're right, the new equipment, replacement equipment is a capital.
I don't know that you want to take $10,000 out every year for 10 years out of your budget
Yeah.
to get it to reap.
Honestly, I think that this should be struck, but we have kind of like a consensus
I
of the commission here.
think that's as I said, I think it's a net,
Yeah,
a loss leader.
I think honestly, because if you're doing your biannual plan, this is going to be one of your topics of conversation. So I think that wraps up in 4.1. When you're reviewing your budget, your biannual budget, one of the things you're looking at is what parks need to have equipment replaced. And so I agree. I think this is redundant.
I concur. Strike 4.5.
So I've heard 1, 2, 3, 3 to strike, 1 to keep, 4 to strike, 1 to keep. Okay, we'll do that.
At least I appreciate your thoughts.
I'm just trying to throw all the spaghetti at the wall to see what makes sense, because we, yeah. So then 4.6, again, this is something that it gets more into, again, it's funding. I don't think it hurts to have that in there, even though in policy 2.4, we kind of say the same language. I think it's
Can
fine to have it in there.
can I make a comment? I
Mhm.
think it shouldn't just be for operations, but it should be for maintenance.
Maintenance and operations, yes. Yes, I agree with you.
Because I think that's the bigger one than operations.
Yep. And so then our last goal, 5, this is getting to the tree canopy. And right before you convened, the tree commission met on this. We had a nice lively discussion about how they thought this should read. So what you see there is changed from what you have on the paper based on that conversation that we just had. They think that goal 5 makes more sense to say maintain, protect, and enhance the city's tree canopy. And the policies underneath it, 5.1, promote streetscape and public space improvement projects to incorporate tree canopy and vegetation requirements. Policy 5.2, aspire to conduct tree canopy assessments on a regular schedule and to maintain up-to-date tree inventories. 5, oops, that's a typo. 5.3, engage public through educational materials and tree planting events to care for existing and plan for new tree plantings in priority areas. And they wanted me to add this yellow, policy 5, which would be 5.4, required new development to provide tree canopy assessment. I have to play with that word, but basically what we decided is that, new development provides a tree canopy assessment to ensure no net loss of the citywide coverage percentage. So a little bit of wordsmithing still to do there, but then the idea is the policy there is that just as we require landscaping and tree planting plans when we look at development, we would also incorporate that, show us the measurement of the canopy, because the tree plans themselves are just counting the number of trees, the size of the trees, which ones are protected in our tree preservation ordinance, what can be removed, what has to be protected. They have to go through a tree modification, but it doesn't have anything to do with canopy. So that's what this is trying to get at, to make that. So I thought they did really nice work tonight, actually.
Would the maintenance of wastewater systems, street water systems, should that be incorporated in here as well? Because, with all of these trees, you got leaves, and these leaves eventually make their way into the drain, and eventually you're going to have your vac truck come in and suck out all these leaves.
Well, we do anyway. I mean, I guess I'm not.
I guess my point is, we add more trees, we add more leaves,
I don't
and-
think they're saying that. I think what they're saying is if you have 20 feet of tree canopy, at the end of the day, at the end of the project, you still better have 20 feet of tree canopy.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
How that is, so it's the number, if we're gonna do that, then we're talking about, we're gonna go from deciduous trees to evergreens, which I don't think we want to hold.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that, and I have no problem, with the canopy. What I do have a problem with is the wastewater backing up.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it says that, just like you said, it's a no net loss of citywide percentage, and I think it makes sense.
The trouble I was having with what you were saying about watering was the fact that we have spots in the city, specifically in some of our parks, that trees aren't getting watered, that we're going to have to put water lines in that I don't think we really want to. The trees are healthy right now without additional water.
No, I think what he's saying is the maintenance, the aftermath maintenance of the leaves and getting clogging drains
No,
and
I
all
hear
that.
that, but I also heard the
But
water lines.
I don't, I mean, but that's the decision of the city and our citizens. You kind of have, if you choose one path, you got to be prepared. You know, we're choosing to have a tree canopy. We're choosing to keep the trees. We're choosing that instead of having 95% of cement, we want those trees in the neighborhoods. And if that's the city's choice, then we need to take care of it. It's not the developer's decision to build around it. That's just,
Right.
I mean, we're choosing to keep those trees. We can say, hey, you can just bulldoze them all.
But then we won't make our climate goals.
Right,
What
that's-
I'm
hold
saying
on.
is if we
That's
choose,
not where I'm going with this at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going there at all. I'm going with, you know, with the leaves coming down, and believe me, I'm a fan of having trees. And I don't even mind the 44 bags every year that I gotta pack up of leaves. But the water, the leaves getting into the sewage system, into the wastewater system, and then the vac truck, and then the city employees that have to come in with the vac truck to suck those out. You know, there's a maintenance to this. And so the only question I have is, should this address the maintenance of it? Not that I'm against trees. I'm just, should we talk about the maintenance?
Only, I would say no, only because we're talking about the goal to, so the leaves falling and the maintenance on the storm system, I don't see that as connected to this goal.
Yeah.
I see that as a different goal in a different place, but not connected to this goal.
I think the goal, the way I read it is, if there is a new development, right? And say if they cut down 20 trees to build the house, so then they're gonna put in another 20 trees. And so there is
That
no
I
net
understand.
loss. And then, so
That-
we are not creating
I
maybe more leaves.
understand that, right? That I understand, no net loss, got it. I'm asking about the maintenance.
well, and I don't think we should make them pay for it.
And I appreciate,
Well, the city's,
Well, it's no different than if we require them to put a park in, we're not gonna require them to maintain it. We're gonna have to pay to maintain it.
y'all are taking this way, way off base, right? Way off course.
Well,
I'm not talking about cost. I'm not talking about who's gonna maintain it. I'm asking, should we talk about the maintenance of it?
We
Period.
should always talk about the maintenance of it.
That's
I
the
agree
question.
with you. And that will be something that we discuss in 2 weeks. I hope that you can all make it for the capital facilities and utilities chapter, the last chapter that we have to address. That's where you'll see those directed policies about operations and maintenance, how we manage the storm system. Because remember, all of these chapters in all of their crowned glory are going to have to relate to one another. And so the leaf canopy, you know, as you're reading through that, and then when you get into the last chapter of like, and then you're like, oh, okay, so now you got to see, we got to try to develop parity. That's what this is all about as we work through this. And that's what you'll be looking for, because guess what? Here it is. Oh, I don't know how many pages. I didn't count the pages. Yeah. This is just missing chapter 10. But I thought might be handy for you guys to get ahead on the read. And if I gave you all copies of what we have without chapter 10, you might be able to get a head start on it. That sound good? Although I ran out of time and I only printed 2 copies. So I'm just wondering if I can somehow get the rest of these copies run tomorrow, and if you wouldn't mind picking them up, or if I could figure out a way to get them to you, because they're gonna be too big to email, or, you know, a link.
Can you just upload somewhere and we can download it? That would be easier.
We have such strict, I mean, I could probably put it in a Dropbox, and send you a link to a Dropbox, but we don't have a file share. It's, I'm gonna say I'm tired again, and so now I'm gonna start to complain and whine about this, and I don't want to do that, but it's very difficult right now for us to get big documents passed around. I could do Dropbox, but then I would worry about people, like, oh, I didn't get it, I couldn't get it, and it's just so much easier if I hand it to you and say, here you go. You would prefer an electronic, wouldn't you? How about a thumb drive? I could give you a thumb drive.
Or we could just pick them up, right? The
Yeah,
paper
but I think
copies?
Commissioner Thacker would prefer not to have paper.
When-
And I don't like all the
Yeah.
paper either.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
this 200-300 pages are not easy to just read, like easier to scroll through and,
Well,
Um,
that's, different preferences, right? So
Or-
if,
or s-
let's,
Go ahead. I was going to say, Ed, when would you like me to come tomorrow?
I was just wondering how you would make your notes, but okay, let's do this. How about a show of hands who would like a digital copy on a thumb drive and who would prefer to have paper to read? Raise hands for thumb drive. What about, how you doing? Kate also, so two thumb drives?
I have a lower hand or a higher hand.
Okay, two thumb
That's it.
drives and everyone else a paper copy?
Yeah.
Okay, and would you be okay? I'm sorry to have to make you come back to just pick up a copy like tomorrow, anytime tomorrow or after tomorrow afternoon, I'll have them at the front desk. Okay,
So
cool.
I'll call you offline, Barb.
Okay. We'll get one to you.
Can I make a suggestion of P 5.3 and move it up to right under the first 5.2 and make the second 5.2 4?
So the P54, what are we moving around here?
The yellow one
Yeah,
to one up to right there.
one up.
Yes, right there.
Okay.
So then you're talking about tree canopies
Oh, sure.
together, and then you're going to something else versus going to something else and then coming back. Oh, by the way, I just remembered this.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. And so now, I think we can move towards adjournment.
Can we talk about the maps on the back just for a real quick second?
It is so late. Yes, what do we need
All
to
right, let's
talk
come
about?
back to it.
What about the maps?
I'm just. So the trails both in Sequalichu Village and the trails in Old Fort Lake. These are the only proposed trails that we're considering?
Oh, in the map
On
of
the map.
this is straight from the park plan itself. And
What-
so I'm not sure that we need to well, I thought it might be handy. But yes, those are the proposed trails
Those are the only proposed trails.
at this time in the post plan. Yes. Yep.
So for the next 20 years, these are the only proposed.
I didn't write the park
I
plan.
didn't.
I am not.
I
the
didn't
park
say that, I
commission.
just,
But I mean, okay, but, um,
and I'm not trying to be nasty, I'm just saying, if
we
this is,
have a lot of trails now in our existing network.
right,
So maybe there isn't a need to make more. These link up with the existing trails we have. So, but again, things change. This is not like we're never gonna touch this document for 20 years.
Okay.
Right?
good,
Yeah.
I hope not.
Oh, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Okay. So Chair Foe, I think I would like to talk about our next steps
Yes, ma'am.
for the comp plan, if I could.
Yes,
So
ma'am. Please.
special meetings,
Yep.
so first of all, we got special meetings, October 27. I sent this to you and I did get response back from two of you. November 10 and November 17. Did you all see those or did they get, I can resend those dates. I'd need to make sure that we have quorums. October 27 would be a 6 o'clock special meeting that I'll remember to notice. And it would be our capital facilities plan, which is the last chapter that we haven't discussed. Then we would be, and at that point, you're going to have the whole thing to be looking at. So then November 10 would be our regularly scheduled meeting at 6:30. That's where we would hold our public hearing to get public input on this. And then November 17 would be a special meeting at 6 o'clock. And that would be to deliberate and talk about the public hearing and any additional changes before making recommendation and passing to city council. So do you need me to send those dates again, just so you can take a look at them with your calendar? I
I'm
mean,
good with-
particularly November. No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Director Kincaid, I'm good with all those dates. Unfortunately, I'm still on the road coming home on the 10th, but I should be in residence on the 17th.
Okay,
And what
great.
time on the 17th?
The 17th would be 6 o'clock.
And I think I responded to the email.
And email you again? Sure.
No, I already
We
responded.
Respond. I was gonna say, you said yes, Commissioner Scout said yes. I have a yes from Commissioner,
I'll be able to.
okay, and Commissioner Lynch also. So it sounds like we're in good shape.
Yeah, I'll be able to make it too.
All right,
so.
thanks.
So 10th is going to be a public hearing?
Yes,
Okay.
10th is going to be the public hearing. And we'll be doing a updating the webpage and getting all of the noticing and all that stuff, including this document out, so that the public will have it in time to be able to get it, to be able to look at it and come in to provide their input, testimony. And that is all I have this evening.
Very good, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comments. Zach, do we have anybody still online with us?
No one on Zoom right now.
Okay, thank you, sir. And no change in the audience? There in chambers?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Planning commissioners, anybody have any alibis? Okay, I've got a quick, easy one on that. The last goal, 5.2, the first sentence or the first word said aspire. I think if we just delete that and say conduct a tree inventory. Did I lose everybody?
I think the word aspire is there because it would be great if we could just say we're going to conduct the tree canopy assessment. But it takes budget and we hate to say that we're going to do something. In fact, that's a problem we have right now. We say we're doing things and we're not doing them.
Okay,
That's why the word aspire is there, because we don't know, if we don't have the staff to do it, we don't have the budget to do it, then it doesn't get done. And then someone says, well, you said you were gonna do it. And that's why that aspire is there.
got it. Thank you. Anybody else have any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Great discussion tonight, everybody. I appreciate everybody's work. We're making headway. With that, I'll go ahead and conclude the meeting. We're adjourned at what time is it? It's 23:42 my time, but so I guess that makes it 20 25. So that'll work. Thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye all.